Hello everyone, and welcome to a new video from Via Doctus, where we will attempt to clarify the origins of chess and its subsequent evolution to its current form. Chess is a board game that has become a true paradigm of intellectual sport and a challenge to ingenuity. As with almost all stories, we must start at the beginning, although the truth is that numerous theories circulate about the origin of chess. Various investigations attribute its beginnings to China, Iran, or Afghanistan, but we will try to focus on the most widely accepted theories so far. Currently, we know that modern chess is an evolution of the board game called shatranj, which arrived in Persia around the 6th century AD. This was how chess was introduced into medieval Europe by the Arabs. In turn, it is likely that shatranj is an evolution of chaturanga, an ancient board game created in India. Originating from Sanskrit, the compound word chaturanga means four parts. This name comes from a battle formation mentioned in the Mahabharata, a religious epic text from the 3rd century BC. In it, the word chaturanga refers to the four parts or divisions of an ancient army, which were elephants, war chariots, cavalry, and infantry. In his epic poem titled Shahnameh, or the Book of Kings, the 10th century Persian poet Ferdowsi provides us with a possible explanation for the origin of chaturanga. He suggests that the game originated due to a dispute that arose after a war of succession to the throne between two heirs. To settle this dispute, the wise men of the court decided to reproduce the battle that had been fought. They placed different statuettes that represented the infantry, the king, his general, 2 elephants, 2 chariots, and 2 knights on their mounts on a floor of dark wood and white ivory tiles. Each statuette was attributed different rules, associated with the role they played in the battle that was being represented. In this way, the general could not stay more than 1 square away from his king. The elephant moved 3 squares vertically, the knight moved 3 squares diagonally, and the infantry soldiers moved only 1 square forward. We have no record of whether Ferdowsi's writings were based on real events or not, but they give us indications that for many centuries, the intellectuals of India had already concentrated their minds on a figurative warboard. It is likely that the game spread through the cultural exchanges of the time that took place on the Silk Road, where the caravans of merchants crossed India to the east and the west, carrying with them their chaturanga boards. The game spread through Persia at this time under the name of shatranj. Although the original rules of the ancient chaturanga are not known for certain, it is believed that shatranj and chaturanga had the same or very similar rules. Over the years, the game spread throughout the Islamic world, and its name changed to shatranj, taking as a basis for its name the word shah or king, and from where also evolved the famous expression shahmat, which could be translated as the king is dead, a term known today as checkmate. Shatranj kept the rules and names of the pieces faithful to their Persian origins for almost 1,000 years. It was introduced in Spain around the year 1000 by the Arabs, so probably the first Western city to play chess was Córdoba, a cultural and intellectual beacon of medieval Europe at that time. Between the 9th and 10th centuries, its modern forms began to develop, although some elements still differed notably. For example, the bishop was an elephant, and instead of a queen, there was the figure of the vizier who could only move 1 square. Additionally, the original shatranj board did not alternate between 2 different colors for each square. It was made of soft materials, such as cloth, paper, or carpet. In some cases, players drew the board directly on the ground. Later manuscripts mention the existence of boards with colored squares. However, this element was not essential for playing the game and served purely ornamental purposes. Today, when we review the pieces of shatranj, they are very familiar to us. Like the shah or king, the elephant or bishop, the faras or horse, the chariot or rook, the baidak or pawn, and also the furzan or vizier, the right hand of the king who was in charge of his protection, and who ended up becoming the queen of modern chess, and who once could represent the regent's general. The figure of the furzan or vizier evolved during the Middle Ages, probably in France, into the figure of the queen. A queen who initially moved like the king, moving 1 square in any direction, constituting the weakest piece after the pawn. She was followed in importance by the bishop, from the Persian elephant, which also became a bishop in the Middle Ages, although the movements of this piece were limited to 2 spaces diagonally. So as you can see, the different pieces have evolved greatly from their origins, with the horse and the pawns being the only pieces that seem to have hardly varied. By the 15th century, chess had acquired its current forms and rules mainly due to the invention of the printing press, which allowed the dissemination of homogeneous rules among the different regions. In 1497, the oldest known chess book, Repetition of Loves and Art of Chess, was published in Salamanca, Spain, by Luis Ramirez de Lucena, a 15th century Spanish chess player. During this period, the queen had already become the most important figure in chess, being the most offensive and dangerous piece of all. It is to be assumed that this work by Luis Ramirez de Lucena constitutes a compilation of the knowledge of the time, as its wealth of ideas is immense enough to integrate the knowledge of a single chess master. If all tactical concepts were the work of Lucena's ingenuity, he would possibly have to be considered the greatest chess genius of all time. However, his compilation reveals a knowledge of the secrets of the game so vast that it undoubtedly makes him one of the greatest chess players of his time. Lucena states in his work the main current approaches: the giuoco piano of the Italian opening, the Spanish opening, the queen's pawn, the king's gambit, the defenses now known by the names Philidor, Petrov, the French, the Dutch, the king's and queen's fianchettos, the bishop's opening, and even others that have subsequently been erroneously attributed to more modern chess players. An amazing work that includes the fundamental ideas of the development of the pieces, the issues with advancing pawns, especially those of castling, the importance of occupying the center, and opening lines for the bishops, the rook, or the queen. In 1749, the French musician and chess player François-André Danican Philidor published his book Analysis of the Game of Chess, discussing in detail the overall strategy and the importance of pawn structure in the game as a positional factor. His book included 14 games and several mid-game annotations discussing various features, such as isolated, doubled, backward, passed pawns, or pawn islands. Philidor is considered the best chess player of his time, and his book remained a reference work of modern chess for more than a century, being translated into several languages. His ideas served as the basis for the first school of thought in chess, the Philidor school. However, the Italian school, developed by Ponziani, Lolli, and Del Rio around 1750, advocated in opposition to Philidor for rapid development of the pieces and direct attacks against the opposing king. By the mid-19th century, the first international chess championship was held in London, which was won by Adolf Anderssen, and from which various tournaments were held in the main cities of Europe, such as London, Paris, Vienna, and Berlin. During this period, the first professional chess players also appeared, first in London, the main chess center at the time, and then in other cities. From the tournament in St. Petersburg in 1914, initiatives grew for the creation of a regulatory body for the sport until finally, in 1924, FIDE, the International Chess Federation, was created. As you can see, the history of chess has been linked to princes, courtiers, wise men, intellectuals, and merchants who have kept the flame of this game alive for centuries, which was born on a board to represent the tactics of war. A game that has waged infinite intellectual battles among humans, which for the first time in history were surpassed by a machine in 1997, when Deep Blue defeated the world champion, Garry Kasparov, establishing a new turning point in this sport. Today, the most powerful artificial intelligences, such as the famous stockfish, have far surpassed the human mind, to the point where even the grandmasters cannot beat them. And that's where our video today from Via Doctus ends. If you liked the video and learned something new, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching the video. See you in the next one.